everybody. Today I decided to do a personal video. A couple of weeks ago I left my job. I worked as a care assistant in a care home for the elderly with dementia. For those of you who know what dementia is, I'll give a little brief explanation about it. Dementia is all to do with the mind. It's when parts of the mind is dying off. So your memory becomes fragmented, where it affects people differently. It all comes underneath an umbrella of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, vascular Alzheimer's. They're all the same but on various degrees. They all do with the mind and losing your memory. Like I said, it affects people differently. Some people lose more their long-term memory than their short-term memory. Some people lose more of their short-term memory than their long-term memory. I've looked after individuals who I think simply have no memory at all. They can't even have a conversation with you, and it's difficult working in that environment. And I commemorate anybody who's been doing it for years and years and years and years and do it as a career, but for me it was a job. The reason why I left is because the job became very difficult and it was affecting my uni work. I'm still in my first year of uni, so after 11 months I decided I couldn't do the job anymore. It was becoming very difficult, and it was heartbreaking watching all these individuals leaving for different reasons, whether because we couldn't provide the care they needed anymore or because of sickness. And I got very attached to some people in this place, and I wanted to tell you guys this because a lot of people don't appreciate people who do this sort of job. Care homes are seen by families as almost like a dumping ground. I've seen some of these people who don't even have visitors, and it is heartbreaking to see. And people who do have visitors, they often spoke to me and asked me, where do you get the patience from? How can you do this job? And my answer was that you either can or you can't do this job. Some people have the patience to do it, and it is difficult working in that environment, because you could talk to somebody 1 minute and the next minute they could be a completely different person. It's like a split personality. I mean, 1 minute you could be talking to somebody who's wonderful, really nice, and the next minute they could be very horrible and aggressive. And I can honestly say there have been occasions where I've been bitten, I've been slapped, I've had my hair pulled, I've been kicked, I've been hit with a walking stick, but through it all I know that none of them mean it. I've even been, people have even sweared at me, and I know when they do these things they don't actually mean it. I did this job for 11 months, and the first 4 to 5 months were very happy. I really enjoyed my job. I couldn't imagine there was a better job in the world. But then after 6 or 7 months you start to see more of the person. You get to know the person even more. You see other sides to them because of the dementia. And there were times where I felt like I wasn't doing my job correctly, especially when somebody fell, or it's because I was too tired and I couldn't, it was difficult for me to sit down and listen to the particular person talking to me. I mean, sometimes I was so busy I couldn't even sit down and have a conversation with one of these lovely people. But that is one of the things that come with a carer's job. Sometimes you can't give the care they need. I mean, part of my job was helping them to get dressed in the morning, make sure they've washed themselves. I brushed their hair, I'd wash their hair, and sometimes I would even have to feed them. I tucked them into bed, I took them to the toilet. So you almost become a second family to them. And I decided to do this video because, like I said, a lot of people don't appreciate other people who do this job, and some people misunderstand dementia, thinking that, oh, this person's aggressive, you can't go, don't go near them. I mean, I personally had a family member who had Alzheimer's, and yes, she did become a complete different person. I mean, when she didn't have it, she was a very sweet old lady who wouldn't even harm a fly, and yet when she had her Alzheimer's, she did become aggressive, and she did swear a lot more than she used to. Yeah, so it's difficult seeing people going through this transaction, going from one place to another. And one part I really enjoyed of this job was when I did have the chance to sit down, I could talk to them about the things that they did remember. And the most heartwarming part of my job was at least, like, some of them knew my name, that they still had that memory left, that some part of the memory was still there. Like I said, some individuals you couldn't even sit down and have a conversation to. I caught one woman one day just sitting there blissfully meowing to herself in a chair, and she was just so happy. And with dementia, people can be happy because if they have had a hard life, they forget about the hard life and think of what they got now. I can't say I've met any of these residents who weren't unhappy with when they had dementia, apart from when their memories did come back to them, and it was heartbreaking to watch. One lady in particular, always every day she would ask, "Where's my husband? I want to go home. Why are you keeping me here?" Another lady would think that we were keeping a prisoner, and she'd do almost anything to get out of the building. And one gentleman always asked where his wife was. I mean, you can explain as much as you want, but after a second or two, they forget that you've told them, or they don't realise they've asked you this thing before. I don't know whether I would want to do another caring job in the near future, but this was a residential care home, so this meant that they still had their independence. They walked around the building, they sat down with a cup of tea and biscuits, and they could where their family came to visit them. They had shows. We played games with them. We had movie days. So they always go into a good environment. But if you have a family member who has suffered with dementia, Alzheimer's, then you know the transaction yourself that people go through. But I thought this was be an important video to make because, like I said, a lot of people don't understand dementia. They don't appreciate the people who do the job, and they don't understand how people can do this job. And the people I worked with have been doing it for years, and it is a career for them. But for me, this was just a job, and I did it for 11 months. And when I did hand my notes in, I felt relieved, thinking, in a couple of days' time I don't have to come back. But yet, on my last day, it was heartbreaking knowing that I wouldn't come back, especially to come to people who do remember me and always ask for me, thinking that, after I leave they might not even remember me anymore. And I could name every single resident that I looked after in that building, and I could name every single person that I worked with in those 11 months, from day shifts and night shifts as well. If you're someone who wants to do this sort of job, then I would say go for it. It is a rewarding job because you're changing somebody's life, not in a major sense, but in a minor way. Just you're making their last years more comfortable, because we're doing the family's job. sum it up, yeah, we're doing what the family should be doing, but in all fairness, family can't always do everything. And to be honest, if I had a family member, I would probably put them in a care home as well, because I know I couldn't do everything for that person. And there were times where I was so busy, it did make me sick, and I'd have headaches, I'd have stomach cramps, I would have aching muscles, and there were times where I just completely skipped meals, that I wouldn't have time to sit down and have food for myself, because my time was always for them, making sure that they had their food, they had enough to drink, all the paperwork was filled, getting them changed and putting them to bed. But if you're somebody who wants to do this job as a career, then I would say go for it. It is a rewarding job, but don't take it lightheartedly. There will be difficult times, and if you're like me and you're just looking for something, just a job, then I'd say it is something worth trying. Don't knock it until you tried it. I mean, I have a stepsister who's doing it as a career, and she loves her job. And I loved my job in the beginning, but it became too difficult after a while. And I think that's all I have to say about my job. I mean, I'm still young, and if I wanted to go back into that sort of environment, then I could. But maybe years down the line after university. But if you are a university student, I wouldn't do this job while you're in uni. I mean, I had so many people staring at me because, I was one of the students that had a job. They're like, oh my god, you've got a job, have you got time for a job? And especially when I told them that, I worked in a care home, and they're like, oh my god, how can you work there and come here? I mean, there were days where I would do a night shift. I'd finish at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'd go straight to uni for a lecture at 9 o'clock and not finish till 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It does put a lot of stress on you and on your work. I think that's it from me now. And if you have any more questions for me, please leave a comment in the section below, and I'll get back to you. Bye.